Hello, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So,
Mine.
let's discuss those before we begin the class for today. I hope everybody had the time to sort of go through the resources that we sent. Yesterday was a fairly simple class on mood disorders, barring aside some clarifications on the classifications on how bipolar and how mood disorders are classified. I think we have moved on to a place where we are discussing typically clinical scenarios. So Karishma is ready with the PPT. Karishma, why don't you begin? I'll just give you the control in a moment.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Try sharing the
Okay.
screen if it's possible.
Ma'am, make me host. I'll share the screen.
Go.
Okay.
Okay, you can change the settings back now so that I can allow everybody to come in.
Okay, ma'am. I just make you the host. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, may I start with it?
Yeah, go ahead. Make me the host again. I'll admit people.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Is my voice clear to you?
Yeah, it is clear now to everyone.
Oh, okay. So let us start with the case minute. Okay. So here is a case. You have to be very specific about what are the details that have been given in this case. Okay. The question in the question answer round, some questions are being asked on the basis of it. So be careful while reading this case. Okay. So as per the name is
No,
ABC and the marital status is
40, 40,
unmarried.
40, 40,
Age
40.
is, please mute the mic. Okay. So the age is 28 years old. Occupation is businessman. Gender male. Education BTech. Informant self. Reliability of information yes. Adequacy of information yes. So now we focus on presenting complaints. Everybody please look it up very attentively what is being written in this. Okay, so the patient was having come to us with the complaints that there is pain in the chest, increase in the heart rate, feeling of restlessness, anxiety is there. Sometimes I feel so panic and don't know how to handle the situation. So when I asked the patient about from how long you are facing these problems, the patient reported it's from 4 to 5 months. Okay. So next the patient explained, the I am also having feeling of difficulty in breathing from some months and feel like that I'm losing control over my body. Feel like I'm having heart attack 2 to 3 times. I feel like that and the sweat comes over in my hands. When I asked the patient that how long you are having these months, can you please have an estimate of it? The patient roughly replied, it's from 2 to 3 months. Okay. One more thing the patient add in this, because of which the patient was want the help, want the treatment, is that when I saw the hospital or the ambulance, thought comes to my mind that what will happen if I die, and the negative thoughts start coming into my mind. So I asked the patient how long you are having these kind of thoughts. The patient replied 2 to 3 weeks. Okay guys, try to make a sense, try to evaluate which case is going on. Okay, so the onset is 4 months, course is episodic, and precipitating factor. In the precipitating factor, the patient saw his sister in hospital in emergency room because she met with an accident 5 months back. Okay. History of presenting illness. The patient saw his sister in hospital in emergency room because she met with an accident 5 months ago. After that, the patient started having episodes of pain in his chest, having palpitations, restlessness, and the patient suffered from one panic attack 4 to 5 months ago. Now here we have used some technical words because it is history of presenting illness, so we can use it here. Then the patient consult to general physician Dr. N. The patient took medicine for 10 to 15 days, which is recommended by Dr. N, and does not get relief from the pain in the chest. Then the patient started having difficulty in breathing, sweating in his hands, and having fear of losing control over the body, and have similar episodes from the last 2-3 months. After this, he started having Ayurvedic medicine for his problem, but he does not get relief completely. From the last 2-3 weeks, whenever he sees any hospital or ambulance, he start thinking that what will happen if he will die, and start having negative thoughts in his mind. Now the patient want treatment for his health issues. Okay. One thing I would like to add in it, which I think I have not mentioned here, is that I asked the patient about the appetite and the sleep, and both were normal. Okay. So the treatment history here is the patient took medicine from Dr. N 5 months ago for the pain in his chest, but he doesn't get the relief from it. Next is past history. As such, there is no past history of present illness before 5 months ago. Family history. Okay. In the family history, his father was businessman, 55 years old. Mother is housewife, 52 years old. And sister is doing BSc, 22 years old. And the patient itself is businessman, 28 years old. And there is no family history of any mental illness before. Next is personal history. The patient had normal delivery. The patient was average mark scorer. Pre-morbid personality. The patient is introvert by the nature. The patient does not like to discuss his problem with others. Next we have mental status examination. Please have a careful look on it. In the mental status examination, the first thing which what we have to note down is the journal appearance and behavior. In the journal appearance and behavior, in the journal appearance, what I have noticed is the patient was well dressed. The patient was feeling a lot anxiety while telling about his problems. His hands were shaking and he was cleaning sweat from his forehead with the help of handkerchief. Now, attitude towards examiner. The patient was cooperative. Grind and posture. The patient keep on changing his postures and shaking his legs and hands. Psychomotor activity. The patient was not able to sit still and appeared frigidity. The social manner and non-verbal behavior. The eye contact is hesitant eye contact. Rapport. Working and empathetic relationship is established with the patient. Next is speech. Speech is, okay, first thing which we have to cover in speech is rate and quantity. The speech is normal in tone and is spontaneous. Productivity is increased. Rate is rapid. Next is volume and tone of speech. It is increased and high pitch. And C is flow and the rhythm of speech, which is hesitant. Okay. Guys, try to make diagnosis till yet. Try to note down the points which is coming on. Next is thoughts. In the thoughts, the patient said that, क्या होगा अगर कल मुझे कुछ हो गया तो? Mood and effect. Okay, in the mood and effect, continuously feeling anxious about his chest pain. Perception. No perceptual abnormality like hallucination, illusion, delusions, etc. Next is cognition. I checked the cognition of the patient. In the cognition, the first point I covered is abstract thinking. The patient was able to answer the meaning of simple proverbs. Like I asked the patient then, what is the meaning of these proverbs, which I am going to ask you. The proverb I asked the patient is, what is the meaning of ghee ke diye jalana? And the patient said that बहुत खुश होना. Then the next proverb I asked, all that glitters is not gold. The patient said that the attractive appearance of the thing does not indicate its true nature. So it's right. Now the patient was able to answer the similarities and difference between the familiar objects. Like I asked the patient that, what is the similarity between rose and lotus? And the patient replied that they both have flowers and have leaves. Okay, the next question I asked the patient, what is the similarity between the train and the ship? And the patient replied that they both are transports. Okay, then I asked the patient, now I'm going to ask you the differences between the two familiar objects. Then I asked the patient, what is the difference between stone and potato? The patient replied, the stone is hard, can't be eaten, and potato is soft, then the stone and can be eaten. Next is, what is the difference between eye and ear? The patient replied that we can see from the eyes and we hear from the ear. Next is point which I have to cover in cognition is orientation. Then the patient was able to tell the appropriate orientation of time, place, and the person. Like I asked the patient that, what is the day and date today? The patient replied that the day is Monday and date is 2 March 2020. Okay, which month and the year is going on? The patient replied, as I said, the month is March and the year is 2020. Okay, then I asked the patient, then I moved to the attention part and I asked the patient about forward digit numbers and backward digit numbers. And the patient was able to repeat the digits forwards till 5 digits. Like I asked the patient, what is the, I asked the patient that what are the forward digit numbers? You have to, when I ask you that the digits, 5 digits, and then you have to repeat back towards me. Then the patient was able to answer that. And when I asked the patient the backward to backward, the patient was only able to answer till the 4 digits. Okay. So next we have concentration. In the concentration, the patient was easily distractible because he is asked to subtract the serial 7 from 100. But he was not able to answer, he was only able to answer one subtraction problem. Like the patient replied that when I asked the patient to subtract from the 100 minus 7, then the patient replied 100 minus 7 is 93. 93 minus 7 is 85. 85 minus 7 is 75. Now you guys check whether these subtractions are right or wrong. Okay. So memory. In the memory, I asked the patient, this, the memory which we have to cover is immediate memory recall, recent memory, and remote memory. In the immediate memory recall, I asked the patient, where are you sitting? What are you doing before coming to the clinic? And the patient was able to answer the question. So immediate recall memory is good. Recent memory, what has happened between 2 to 3 days back, what you have eaten in the breakfast, okay, today, what you have eaten in the dinner last night. He was able to answer that questions. So recent memory is also normal. Remote memory, he was able to explain the past experience, what has happened, I got this and that, I have an anxiety from these months. So this shows the remote memory is also good. Intelligence, as we have read earlier in the personal history, the patient is a average mark scorer. So intelligence also, the patient have a good level of intelligence. Okay. Constructional ability is normal. As I asked the patient to make the cross and the cube, the patient made exactly what the cross and the cube is, but it is not that much straight lines. It's like there is that the hands of the patient, the hand of the patient is shaking when he was drawing that drawing. Okay. Next is insight. In the insight, the awareness of being sick due to something unknown in the self. Okay, there is an insight about the sickness, but there is something which the patient don't know. Judgment. Personal judgment is good. Know about himself. I asked the question, the patient, I asked the questions to the patient regarding the personal judgment, like what you are wearing, what you are doing, personal questions, and the patient was able to answer that. The social questions also, the patient was able to answer that whom they met, what is their friend circle, who is in the family, everything the patient was able to tell me. So it's good. Test judgment is intact. As I asked the patient, what you will do in a situation if the house is on the fire? The patient was easily able to reply that I will call an a fire brigade or I will save others. So somehow the test judgment is clear, is intact. Okay. So till here the case is, all the case history of the patient is covered. Now we are going to do diagnostic criteria for the panic disorder. Okay. So in the A, the recurrent unexpected panic attacks, a panic attack is an abrupt surge of intense fear or intense discomfort that reaches a peak within minutes and during which the time 4 or the more of the following symptoms occur. Note, the abrupt surge can occur from a calm state or an anxious state. Okay, so these are the 13 symptoms which you have to cover in the in this criteria. Okay, you just go through these symptoms. Okay, you can also read these DSM. This is the DSM. This is taken, this diagnostic criteria is taken from DSM-5, so you can go through these symptoms from the DSM-5. Okay, next B is uh, at least one of the attack has been followed by 1 month or the more of one or both of the following. Okay, so the two things which you have to be covered in it is that the one is the persistent concern or worry about the additional panic attack or their consequences. For example, losing control, having a heart attack, going crazy. And the second thing is a significant maladaptive change in behavior related to the attack. For example, the behavior designed to avoid the panic attack, such as avoidance of exercise or unfamiliar situation. So here the next C point which you have to cover is that the disturbance is not attributable to the physiological effects of the substance or any medical condition. Okay. So the D point is the disturbance is not better explained by any other mental disorder. Okay. So next is, these are the questions, you can note it down. You have to answer in the question answer round. So you just note down these questions. Everybody, please note down these questions. You have to answer these questions in the question answer round. So I'm just giving you a minute to note it down. When you just note it down, please give me thumbs up or yes message in the chat box.
Okay, I think it's done. Some people have started doing it. Let's begin with.
Yes, ma'am. Now I'm going to give the mic to Dr. Priyanka. Now she will discuss in detail the further process.
Why don't you
Thank you, ma'am.
Why don't you send me the presentation so that I can share the screen from my end? Can you scroll
Sure,
it
ma'am,
up
sure.
right now? Can you scroll it up and show the screen where we are talking about the mental status examination? Can you read that place, please?
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Okay, so I want everybody to pay attention. The idea for Yeah, right here. So the idea about this presentation is not only to learn about a disorder, but also to understand how a good mental status examination generally helps us to come at a diagnosis or arrive at a diagnosis. I'm sure if you guys were paying attention, you were able to notice that the patient had chief complaints of having episodes of panic, and then they had a certain clear-cut precipitating factor. So that part being clear, how can we in our clinical examination find out what are the changes that a person is suffering from, and on a cross-sectional examination, how can we corroborate our diagnosis? Before I go any further, today by the evening, I will be sending out guidelines for the projects which everybody has been asking me. You can submit that as a Word document or as a PDF or as a PPT, whichever way you feel comfortable. I'll be sharing the guidelines in detail so that it becomes easier for you. Just to note, yesterday's case and today's case, both can be taken up for your projects, and so can the rest of the cases that will be coming up later. The idea is to look at the mental status examination and clearly pick it up point by point and discuss how we arrive at a diagnosis by looking at the mental status examination. So if you look at the general appearance, please keep messaging in the chat box side by side. What are the things that you feel have represented anxiety? What are the symptoms? Yes, shaking of legs, very correct. So gait and posture also. What is the thing that the patient is doing? Again, shaking legs and changing posture. Psychomotor activity, the patient was not able to sit still and appeared fidgety. Sweating, yes, Parvinder, very correct. Eye contact was hesitant, and rapport was established. Not able to sit still, less eye contact, speech not proper. Good, good, very nice. Please scroll down, Karishma. Okay. Speech, rate and quantity of speech was normal. Productivity was increased. Rate was rapid. So हमने पहले से ये मन में बना लिया है that the patient might have anxiety disorder. I want you guys today to do an exercise. That exercise is what all diagnoses come to your mind when you think about this history and this mental status examination. My question is, what all disorders do you think that come to your mind when the patient presents with this kind of a history and shows this kind of a disorder? All of you, it is the homework for you today to write down at least 3 to 4 disorders that have come to your mind after reading this history and this mental status examination. And for all of those 3 or 4 points that have come to your mind, please write points in favor of the disorder and points against. Okay, that will be your detailed homework today. So when we talk about speech may there is normal, tone spontaneous, but productivity is increased, rate is rapid. What is there in volume of tone, volume of speech? It is high in pitch, hesitant. Thought, initially, when we have to actually establish the disorder, we have to really talk about thought in much more elaboration than just this one sentence that has been mentioned here. Generally, a patient who does suffer from manic disorder has a clear-cut history. Please mark my words. I said panic disorder. I did not say panic attack. There is a difference between the two. I will be coming to that later. So when I say panic disorder, the patient has clear anxiety कि डॉक्टर साहब जब मैं मुझे कभी कभी ना ऐसा एक अटैक सा आ जाता है, मानो दौरा सा पड़ता है, in which my heart rate increases, I am very sweaty, I feel very restless, and I feel very anxious. I'm not able to focus at that point of time. This increased heart rate gives me a feeling that something is going to happen to me, and I have this certain fear that I might die. Now, can any one of you tell me what does this term mean, that I might die? In panic attack, there is a clear terminology given to this phenomena, the feeling of dying soon. Does anyone know? Okay, I'll be coming to that when I discuss it in the PPT. When we talk about mood and effect, Karishma, please scroll down. No, Vriti, it's not overvalued idea. Mood, effect, perception, please scroll down further. Yeah, so mood and effect, patient is very upset about this conscious feeling in the chest pain. No, Radhika, it's not derealization. Okay, abstract thinking was almost okay. Did anyone notice anything wrong in that? I thought it was pretty much okay. Please scroll down further from abstract thinking. Let's come down. Okay, now that we come to the similarities, I want you guys to answer as we go ahead. When you ask the patient what is the similarity between rose and lotus, the patient said that both of them are flowers and both have leaves. So what is the value you will give to this similarity? It is 0, it is 2, or it is 1? Thanatophobia is a very no, that comes in phobia. I'm talking about something else. Yes, it is 2. Why is it 2, guys? You are very correct. Why is it 2? Because it is? Yes, absolutely. So next also, when we talk about train and ship, we are talking about they are both transports. Again, you will get 2 because it is category. So now we are talking about difference between stone and potato. The patient replied that stone is hard, can't be eaten, potato is soft and can be eaten. That is correct. So next, can we scroll down a little further? Concentration. What can you tell about concentration? So someone's asking me why we ask very simple and basic questions. You know, simple and basic questions are seemingly simple to you because you have heard them once. For any person who's not heard them ever, they will appear complicated कि ये क्या पूछ रहे हैं और ये क्यों पूछ रहे हैं. And actually it is allowing for a faculty of the brain to be tested, that is critical level thinking. Patients who might have anxiety or are suffering from panic attack may not be able to focus on the question that is being asked. They may have a phenomena which is called thought block. मतलब कुछ पूछा, बात का आंसर देने लगे, एकदम से ध्यान कहीं और चला गया एंजाइटी की वजह से कि वो भूल जाते हैं वो क्या कह रहे थे, and then they will ask question repeatedly. So really it is not just the answer that the patient is giving to you, but also the manner in which the patient paid attention to you and the manner in which the patient took that question and answered it for you. You may answer this question about stone and potato, but stone के बारे में बोल के अगर आप lost हो गए, कुछ और सोचने लगे और आपने बोला नहीं मेरा अभी ना palpitation बहुत हो रही है, सांस बहुत उखड़ रहा है, I can't answer this right now. Doctor, please give me a glass of water. That is why we ask this question. Okay. Distraction is also distraction. Yes. Concentration में problems बहुत बार हमें बहुत disorders में दिखती हैं. Again, guys, understand one thing: history, past treatment history, and a good mental status examination, all of them have to come together in a synchronized manner to give you a proper diagnosis. And the real task lies in the activity that I am asking you to do, that is your homework to elaborate your critical thinking. On the basis of this history today, all of you are going to write down what are the 4 disorders that you thought that the patient is suffering from. Why did you choose one primary diagnosis over the rest? That means once you write the names of the 4 disorders, for example, let's say you wrote panic attack, you wrote anxiety, you wrote phobia, or you wrote depression, whichever, then you have to write points in favor and points in against of the disorders. तो जिसके लिए तुम्हारे पास सबसे ज्यादा points होंगे, that is the disorder you will be diagnosing this patient. I suggest all of you to read DSM-5 so that you can read the diagnostic criteria and you can have evidence and points in favor for your case. Just like Karishma mentioned, Karishma, could you please scroll down and let us have a look at the panic attack again? Yeah, the criteria. So here the patient is saying that there are recurrent panic attacks. They reach a peak within minutes and during which time 4 or more of the following symptoms occur. So if you are able to elaborate that in the history or in the mental status examination कि हर attack पे patient को इनमें से कोई भी 4 feelings आती हैं, then you will be able to make your case. Palak, comorbidity is not this. Comorbidity would be in association, मतलब panic attack तो है ही है, उसके association के में और कौन सा disorder है? We are talking about what is the primary diagnosis here in this case. First establish the primary diagnosis. Then if you think that any other disorder has also got a place कि patient को negative thinking बहुत ही ज्यादा है, उसको भी आप बोलना चाहते हो, तो panic attack with sadness or depressive mood symptoms can be a complete diagnosis, which means we can diagnose panic attack along with other disorders also. Okay, so till now we are clear. Overlapping maybe, I don't think you understand the concept clearly. सबसे पहले एक primary diagnosis बनाएंगे. Primary diagnosis उस disorder का बनाएंगे जिसके सबसे ज्यादा symptoms DSM-5 के साथ match कर रहे हैं और जो सबसे पहले शुरू हुआ है. एक बार वो diagnosis बन गया, उसके बाद कुछ features ऐसे होंगे जो उस primary diagnosis में fit नहीं कर रहे. जब उसमें fit नहीं कर रहे तो वो कौन से diagnosis के हैं और क्या वो इतने severe हैं कि उसको आप एक another label दे दो. कई बार पैनिक अटैक के साथ सिंपली सैडनेस होगी, आपको डायग्नोज करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ओके, सो नाउ आई विल अगेन शो द screen and show you a PPT. I hope we are clear till now, and the idea was today basically to read and to see about the mental status examination. Since we are moving on a very clinical area, difficulty level actually concept or theory का नहीं है. It is more about how much you will participate in the critical thinking and analyzing the information that is given. The more you do that, the more you will feel better in understanding the concepts. Okay. I'm talking about panic attack. So what is a panic attack? A panic attack is something that happens and there is an acute attack of anxiety, which is accompanied by the feelings of impending doom. Now, this is the term I was talking about. It is not thanatophobia. The characteristic for a panic attack is that anxiety goes out to be so severe suddenly in few minutes that the patient starts feeling कि oh my god मुझे तो कुछ हो ही जाने जाएगा, मेरे को कुछ होने ही वाला है. Impending doom. Thanatophobia is a typical term for fear of death. I'm not talking about fear of death here. I'm talking about impending doom. Okay, ये बहुत क्लासिकल प्रेजेंटेशन होती है क्लिनिक में. अगर आपके पास पेशेंट आएगा आप ये अंडरस्टैंड कर पाओगे कि पेशेंट की क्लियर वर्डिंग होती है कि एकदम से इतनी घबराहट होती है, मुझे समझ में नहीं आता, मुझे लगता है मुझे कुछ हो जाएगा. It can be unexpected and it can occur at any point of time. Now my next question is, how do you differentiate panic attack from a panic disorder? I'm waiting for the answers. So we are taking a little bit of time here. Let's discuss the panic attack versus panic disorder. Is panic attack एक ही बार होता है. एक बार या एक आध बार या दो बार हो गया, उसको पैनिक अटैक बोलते हैं। कोई पेशेंट आपके पास अगर आता है, बोलता है that I have an episode of extreme anxiety, you will not say that they have panic disorder. You will say that they have panic attacks. But if they have recurrent attacks, then it is called panic disorder. And there has to be absence of agoraphobia. Now, what is agoraphobia? Agoraphobia is fear of open spaces. I will be discussing that. Yes, everyone's correct. Number of episodes increases. अब उसको कैसे diagnose properly करना है? What will we do? We look at the definitions given in DSM-5 and check mark accordingly how many episodes are there. What are the other criteria that need to be met? Agoraphobia, Netra, is fear of open spaces. I have the complete definition here. I'll be discussing that in a minute. Okay. Next is, so there is an interesting table that I came across while preparing the slides for you guys. It is the psychodynamic themes in panic disorder. There are certain underlying psychodynamic themes for every disorder, but it is important to understand those for panic disorder as well. Yes, Radna, very correct. Panic attack अगर बारी बारी होते हैं तभी panic disorder होता है. So psychodynamic themes in panic disorder are difficulty in tolerating anger, physical. So before I go into psychodynamic themes, let me just elaborate one concept. For any disorder, we can explain why that disorder occurs on the basis of different schools of thought or different theories. So there can be psychodynamic theories, there can be neurochemical theories, there can be theories that are behavioristic. So we can understand a disorder by using different means. For example, अगर neurochemical theory understand करेंगे, so we will understand that the level of serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine in different areas of brain, there is an imbalance which leads to states of anxiety and which leads to state of panic disorder. Similarly, when we talk about psychodynamic school of thought talks about some things that are repressed in our subconscious and then they are the ones that are causing these disorders. So psychodynamic themes in panic disorder are very interesting. So I thought of sharing them with you guys. Difficulty in tolerating anger, physical or emotional separations from significant person, both in childhood and in adult life, can cause panic disorder, may be triggered by situations of increased work responsibilities. Now, sometimes we see that in young married women who get into a household and then they are suddenly levied with a lot of responsibilities and then they can't handle those situations, they start having panic attacks. Perceptions of parents as controlling, frightening, critical, and demanding. Internal representations of relationships involving sexual or physical abuse. Chronic sense of feeling trapped. Vicious cycle of anger at parental rejecting behavior followed by anxiety that the fantasy will destroy the tie to parents. Failure of signal anxiety function in ego and related to self-fragmentation and self-other boundary confusion. Typical defense mechanisms, reaction formation, undoing somatization, and externalization. For people who really want to read it in depth, they will have to understand a lot of these terms, especially for point number 8 and 9. But for people who are aiming at basic understanding of the issues, please focus on first 5-6 points only. Okay, 6 up to 6. उसके beyond थोड़ा deep चला जाते हैं, there is no need to read that much. So we've already discussed what is the difference between panic attack and panic disorder and absence of agoraphobia. Acha, interesting thing about panic attack is that panic attack never occurs alone. So point number 7, 8 and 9 I will not be taking up in detail because that is really related with psychodynamic oriented psychotherapy and that is not the agenda or the focus here. The focus is clinical presentations of the cases. Okay, so I'm talking about panic attack. So when we talk about panic attack, what happens is that panic attacks may not occur in isolation. Panic attack is associated with a lot of conditions. In 91% of the cases, panic attack is associated with other anxiety states. Mainly in 84% of the cases, it is associated with agoraphobia. Panic attack can be present with agoraphobia. Before I come to agoraphobia, I want to talk about what is phobia. Phobia क्या होता है? Phobia is generally, yes, fear of something. So phobia is something that we understand when we talk about agoraphobia. It is anxiety about being in places or in situations from which escape might be difficult, or from which the help may not be available in the event of having an unexpected or situationally predisposed panic attack or panic-like symptoms. तो अगर इसको क्लियर टर्म्स में समझे तो फियर ऑफ ओपन स्पेसेस को बोलते हैं अगोराफोबिया. If fear of open spaces is agoraphobia, so person who is walking in the park may have phobia. What about people who are afraid of closed spaces? What is that called? Phobia में fear हमेशा irrational होगा. It's not rational, because when the fear is irrational, the response to that fear is also very, very irrational. You really want to escape and you might just have a panic attack. Yes, claustrophobia is fear of closed spaces. For your homework, there are many other phobias. What is the phobia for foreign people? What is the phobia for germs? What is the phobia for birds? For human beings? A lot of those things, very interesting terms. A lot of these things you can read it up online and find out about them. They're very interesting, but they are very debilitating at the same time. The persons who are suffering from them, they undergo a lot of difficulty and a lot of problem trying to fight these kind of phobias, because there is key feature that is called phobic avoidance. When there is phobic avoidance, then the persons may want to avoid any place that can suspectedly cause panic attack to them in that space, which means that they would not like to be in an open space. They would not like to be in a place where panic attack can occur. कभी कभी इतना debilitating हो जाता है that people do not want to get out of their house at all, thinking that if they go out of their house they might have a panic attack once they go. Or they would not, if a person is claustrophobic, they would not like to go into a lift. They would not like to enter into a car. They would not like to watch a movie in a theater, which can lead to this feeling of claustrophobia. They have difficulty going to malls. They have difficulty going to the try rooms and changing clothes because it is very, very small. So any closed spaces can cause claustrophobia in them. Delusion is not a part of phobia. Bisman, very good question. Delusion के अंदर क्या absent होता है? What is absent in delusion and present in phobia? Insight. Yes, insight. So the person who has delusion will not consider, suppose there are two people who are avoiding a particular situation. Okay, one person is avoiding a particular situation like sitting in a theater, and the other person is doing the same. Both of them are avoiding going to the theater, but one person is avoiding going to the theater because he feels, if I go into the theater, what if something happens? What if the fire breaks out and there is no exit room? And if there is an exit room, there might be a stampede. I will not be able to get out of it. Then I will start breathing heavily. My chest will become tight. I'll have palpitations. I can't go out. This is one. The other person does not want to go into the theater. So the first case I'm talking about, the person who is afraid of going to the theater, you ask that person, what is it that you want to do? He says, of course I want to go into the theater and watch a movie, but I'm not able to do it because I'm constantly afraid that something will happen to me. That is the first case. The second case, the person is avoiding going to the theater because they are generally afraid. And you ask them कि आप theater जाना चाहते हो? The person says, no, I don't have a problem. I don't even want to go to the theater. I know that people are out there to kill me, but I don't have a problem. So in first case and in second case, there is a clear difference. In the first case, the person wants to go somewhere, but knows that if the person goes there, they will start feeling those symptoms that they find very, very debilitating. That's called a neurotic disorder, where they are afraid of going and they realize it is a problem. That's insight being present in that case. In the second case, they are still avoiding the theater, but they don't even know that it's a problem for them and they don't even want to change it. Yes, absolutely, Pooja, you are correct. हम लोग एंजाइटी डिसऑर्डर कंसिडर कर रहे हैं. एंजाइटी के स्पेक्ट्रम के अंदर डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ डिसऑर्डर्स आते हैं. वन इज जनरलाइज्ड एंजाइटी डिसऑर्डर, सेकंड इज फोबिया, थर्ड इज पैनिक अटैक. देन कैन बी different anxiety disorders that are associated with general medical conditions. Then phobias can also be due to different specific conditions. You are very correct. So here, once I've discussed panic attack, once I've discussed phobia, I'm going to discuss anxiety, which was my next point before I covered. Somebody questioned me. Good. Generalized anxiety disorder, it is more common in women and then less common in men. And certain degree of anxiety, please understand, is normal and adaptive. We don't consider anxiety as a problem unless and until there is, what is the typical word for that problem? Anxiety becomes a problem when there is socio-occupational dysfunction. So generalized anxiety will become a problem when it is sustained excessive anxiety, worry, that is accompanied by a number of physiological symptoms including motor tension, autonomic hyperactivity and cognitive vigilance. ये सब terms clear है सबको? It is excessive and it interferes in the other aspects of a person's life. Tell me if something is not clear from this slide. No, anxiety about anxiety is not panic attack. Panic attack is when panic attack in an isolation can occur as an episode unexpectedly anywhere at any point of time without having any prior notion that it is going to occur. Anxiety is generally just anxiety. General anxiety can be without any focus or without any stimulus or without being related to anything. But there can be free floating anxiety that is not associated with any particular stimulus, or there can be specific anxiety. Specific anxiety could be exam related anxiety, could be anxiety related to facing difficult situations, could be anxiety related to a particular event that is going to occur. Cognition and cognitive vigilance, मतलब hyper vigilant होता है वो person. For example, if somebody is anxious, sudden noise and then they will be very very acutely aware कि एकदम से suddenly क्या हुआ, कोई बर्तन गिरा है, कोई आवाज आई है, कोई कमरे के बाहर से आवाज आई है. They'll lose focus and attention and be very very distractible and pay attention to what's happening to that noise, or they see something in their vision, then they will be extra vigilant in noticing the surroundings around them. So what option can be taken for treatment of anxiety? Okay. When we talk about different types of phobias, panic attacks, anxiety, there are different types of managements we can do for them. Of course, as I was going to discuss, my next slide is about the management. Now, management again can be two things, psychotherapy and it can be pharmacotherapy. So when we talk about psychotherapy, I would really appreciate if some of you could read about cognitive behavior therapy and also read about exposure and response prevention. For your convenience, what I will do is I'll write it in the group because this can be a new term for people who have never heard of it. So I'll tell you a real case scenario. So this is a young girl who came to me and she was 18 years old and she constantly had this fear of going to closed spaces like lifts, cars, and like traveling and exams also. So what we did was when she came to us, first we did a proper history, then we did a proper mental status examination, then we also elaborated what her problems was. Once we did the insight oriented psychotherapy, making her realize what is exact problem, then we were able to start therapy with her. Please mute your mic. Once we started therapy with her, I remember she started from outstation to our clinic, and the idea is generally the therapist is supposed to travel with the patient and tell them what to do. So what we did was we took her from my clinic is in Saraba Nagar. So at that point of time, there was no lockdown and everything was open. So we took her to Ansal Plaza, and we had lift there. So we told her, okay, first we did a little bit of relaxation exercises, making her aware of how to calm her nerves whenever she's anxious, and taught her some distraction techniques on how to distract herself. And then we took her to this mall where there was a lift, and we asked her to go inside and face all of her anxiety. Just make a very correct. We did flooding with her. So once we allowed her to be in the lift, the idea behind flooding is that once you expose a person to a particular stimulus they are very much afraid of, the anxiety will peak for few seconds to minutes, but then eventually it will settle down, it will start coming down. And once it starts coming down, the patient starts becoming used to facing that kind of anxiety. That phenomenon is called exactly desensitization. So the patient becomes desensitized to it. So we did that once. We made her travel in a car. We made her travel in a car with her all of her window panes closed, which was very difficult for her to do. We did that in lifts, and we did that repeatedly. Eventually, she became very confident. She used to say कि आज मैं सिर्फ lift के अंदर एक पैर रखूंगी. धीरे धीरे she agreed कि okay, I'll put both my feet into the lift, but don't close the lift. Then one day she became confident कि okay, today what I'm going to do is to take a couple of deep breaths, walk inside the lift, allow the lift to close, and then don't start the lift. I want the lift to open and I want to come out. And then gradually in the third, fourth session, she was able to take one flight from the lift and go to level 1, then level 2. Then she became confident enough that she could travel alone without the therapist being present, without a family member being present. So it really will depend upon how accurate your diagnosis is. What is your rapport and therapeutic relationship with the patient? How are you able to make the patient understand what the problem is? How are you able to do insight-oriented and supportive therapy work with them? Eventually, how are you able to plan which therapy to start? Exposure and response prevention or flooding, desensitization, which way? These are all different techniques, and they have a particular set pattern in which you will be doing them. I won't go into the details of the therapeutic techniques because that's beyond our syllabus at this moment. But once the symptoms are very severe, like autonomic symptoms of palpitations, chest pain, chest tightness, anxiety, low BP, then if they are recurrent, we might need to start them on medication, because anxiety, if it is untreated, it can give rise to many more other disorders, which are lifestyle disorders such as hypertension, and worsen diabetes, worsen cardiac condition, give rise to other psychiatric problems like sleep disturbances and depressive symptoms. So if it is untreated, it is as harmful as a heart disease. Okay, so this is what I want you guys to take home from today's session, that our cornerstone would always be a sound history and a sound mental status examination. Okay. I gave you homework related to Beck's triad. No, it's not related to anxiety. It is related to, what is it related to? Who gave cognitive behavior theory? Yes, Shivani, you are correct. Absolutely. It is related to depression. And Beck's triad becomes important because once we start with cognitive behavior therapy, we discuss about Beck's disorder. Before we began this internship course, we were actually planning to conduct a workshop on cognitive behavior therapy, which we are still planning to do. So any of you who is interested, please let us know. Once we start with CBT, we will be talking a lot about Aaron Beck and Judith Beck and Beck's triad and how to use cognitive behavior therapy in depression and anxiety in different techniques like OCD and panic attacks, and understand more about exposure and response prevention, desensitization and flooding. So all those who are interested in that CBT training module, please let us know and we'll inform you whenever we are going to start. If there are any more questions, please you can ask me right now. Otherwise, I am done from my side. I'll be sharing this slide also and case history. Today's homework I hope is very clear. I would like to ask you guys to write down names of at least 4 disorders that you thought came to your mind when you read the history and the mental status examination in the first place. And for all the 4 disorders, I want you people to write points in favor and points against. Mode of submission would be email, Vaishnavi. You know, it depends upon really the anxiety. No, this is a Nehal, this is a very tough question because आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा why the anxiety came in the first place. Is there a strong family history? Is there a precipitating factor? What is the prognosis of the anxiety? Many times what happens is that if you are able to do a good quality of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy with the patient learns themselves to overall alter their mind signal so that they don't get that anxious when they are faced with that particular situation. And that should be your aim as a therapist. Once you reach that place, then you don't say that anxiety will not occur. Anxiety will keep occurring, but the way you respond to the anxiety will change. And once that change, there will be a change in the level of neurotransmitters in your brain, neurochemicals in your brain, neural connections in your brain. That's called neuroplasticity, that you will not respond to fear as jumpingly or as aggressively as you earlier did. A similar example can be when you are a small kid, then you are afraid of the cooker whistle, but then as you grow older, you become accustomed to it. You know that it is not going to cause any harm, you don't react to it. CBT is given by Aaron Beck. PTSD also comes under anxiety disorder. पैनिक डिसऑर्डर एंड एंजाइटी डिसऑर्डर के बीच में डिफरेंशिएट करने के लिए सबसे पहले ये जरूरी है कि पैनिक में एपिसोडिसिटी होती है. देयर इज क्लियर एपिसोड इन व्हिच पैनिक occurs for a few minutes, 2 seconds, then comes down to the baseline. But anxiety could be there all the time. There is no episode. It is a continuous type of a problem and aggravates on a certain situations, of course, but it is generally continuous. Okay. Mood and affect. Prabhu, I did discuss mood and affect in detail. I think somebody else should take up this question and explain. Prabhu, who can do this? Please volunteer. I want somebody from the audience to take up the question of mood and affect and explain it to Prabhu. Bisman, can you do it? Bisman, is it possible for you to do it? Nehal, you want to? Of course you can. I'm just unmuting you. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, affect can be the feeling, underlining feeling state. Sorry, mood. Mood is the underlining feeling state, and affect is described by such terms as normal range or appropriate to the context, flat and shallow. Mood refers to the feeling and tone and is described by such terms like anxious or depressed and dysophoric and angry and irritable.
That's good, Nehal. That's a good explanation. I'd now ask Aradhana, please pitch in and tell us more about what you understand from mood and affect.
I think reaction to both mood and affect are physically manifested, like through posture, through facial expression, through sound, and other body gesture. Affect is experience of feeling and emotion, while mood is a state of emotion.
Good, good.
Yeah.
There's one key thing that somebody is mentioning. I think that's Palak. Yeah, Palak, would you like to answer? Would you like to take it up from here? You are answering correctly. Palak, please take over.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, mood, ma'am, can I explain in Hindi?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल हिंदी में बताओ अच्छे से खुल के.
ओके, थैंक यू मैम. मैम, जहाँ तक मुझे समझ आया तो मूड जो है वो एक हमारा हमेशा जो एक रहता है, जैसे एक सीजन है, जैसे करिश्मा मैम ने एग्जांपल दिया था कि मूड हमारा एक सीजन की तरह होता है, जो हमारा मैम
बिल्कुल सही
मुझे
बता रहे
समझ
हो.
आ गया, बट आई
हाँ,
कैन एक्सप्लेन.
हाँ बहुत अच्छा बता रहे हो.
एंड इफेक्ट हमारा जो उस सीजन में जो एक हमारा अभी क्या है, अभी क्या चल रहा है हमारे उसमें, हमारी फीलिंग्स में, वो इफेक्ट होता है, आई थिंक.
बिल्कुल सही, 100% करेक्ट पलक, वेरी नाइसली एक्सप्लेन. अमन आप भी वही बता रहे हैं, आप बात बताना चाहेंगे?
Ma'am, mood is like a big umbrella term. It's like if you are a happy-go-lucky person, then you will be a happy-go-lucky person all the time. Like it's a season, but effect can change with circumstances. For example, if someone talk with you about someone's death, then eventually you will become sad. But उसके बाद वो चीज नॉर्मल हो जाती है कि ठीक है, अब वो हमें उस चीज से कोप अप करना है, हमें उस चीज से बाहर आना है. इट्स लाइक अ वन डे क्लाइमेट. वो बात हो गई किसी के डेथ के बारे में, देन यू विल कोप अप विद इट. बट मूड इज नॉट अ चेंजिंग थिंग.
वंडरफुल वंडरफुल, हैट्स ऑफ टू यू गाइस, बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया है. प्रभु, आई थिंक योर problem is solved now and everybody is participating. That is lovely. Any other last minute question? Shubhangi, I see your hand is raised. Is there something you want to ask? If not, then I'm going to lower your hand. Anything else in this presentation? I hope the homework is clear to you, because once you will do this homework, I will base your project reports on this. I'll be emailing and I'll be messaging in the group about the guidelines for submitting the project. The mode of presentation can be any PDF, Word document or PPT, and then you can send it on my email. Reliability and adequacy, दोनों अलग terms हैं. Okay, would somebody like to take this up? That's the last question. Aradhana, it's better if you give something that can be read on the computer, not handwritten. I prefer something that is mentioned. Sapan, why don't you explain this? It will be a good idea.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
good afternoon.
Hi, good
Am I
afternoon.
audible, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Yes. Ma'am, reliability is, ma'am, the authenticity in the information, that the how authentic the information is. And the second part is, ma'am, can you please adequacy. Adequacy is, ma'am, how the completeness is there in the information, whether the information we got from the our patient, is it adequate to form the diagnosis or not. Am I right, ma'am?
Absolutely, 100% correct. So adequacy is related to the information, whether the information is adequate enough for us to make a diagnosis. While reliability means, can we trust the information that is being given to us by the person who is giving us this information. Okay, so that winds up today's session. I will be sharing the resources for both of them. How to self-research for anxiety and phobia. Sakshi, I would suggest not do that, because a lot of information is available online. Everybody does have some amount of anxiety and phobias. Some of it is a part of normalcy also. It is only when it is causing a lot of trouble or socio-occupational dysfunction and not allowing anybody to function well, then I would suggest get a professional opinion. Don't research it on self. If you really want to read something about it, then again read Synopsis of Psychiatry. That's a book. Yes, of course, Nehal, there are underlying medical problems that can cause anxiety. So that's a separate diagnostic entity altogether, generalized anxiety due to underlying medical conditions. I will be messaging you in the group about a table which explains what conditions can cause that. I think we can wrap up today's session. Let's meet tomorrow. I'll be sharing resources by the evening today. Thank you all for being again a wonderful interactive audience and explaining topics and concepts so nicely. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.